and welcome back to my channel. My name is Karin, I'm from Extraordinary Fitness, and today we are going to talk a little bit about your first aerial class. Even if you have been before, you might want to look at it because there is some tips and ideas inside about the class, about the preparation before, but also about how you can rebuild your muscles quickly afterwards. So let's start. So before your class, you want to think about your clothing. This is maybe your first aerial class, you have done some pole lessons before, you have packed your shorts and your little top and you're ready to go. So I will recommend you to bring long clothes, long sleeves. So take some leggings with you. If you have a whole bodysuit, that's perfect. So long, tight clothes, that's what you should have with you. You can have a top because sometimes you get really sweaty, but bring a long sleeve jumper with you, a tight one. If you don't have that, we have a little tip here. So take some tights, you cut off the legs, and you cut a small hole on where you normally put it on. This one you pull on the opposite way over your head, and you get the perfect like long sleeve covered little top, which goes till here. So this is something you can do. Otherwise, just make sure you are covered here, because if you do silks or anything, you knot yourself in and you do a small little drop, your shirt will slide up and you will get burns. Aerial is getting burns and bruises, so that's why you want to have clothes. If you want to pack some extra leg warmers, pack some extra knee pads, you can use them anywhere on your body. Like if you hang in your knees, you feel it's painful, which it is in the beginning, you put them on, or you can put on your elbows the leg warmers for an extra padding, which means you can maybe do it twice or 3 times instead of only once. So I really recommend to pack some extra clothing, to pack some tights which you can cut off. What I sometimes even use is, this is actually for dogs, it's a bandage which is holding by itself, so it's self-sticky, and this one is great on the feet, because even on the feet you might get burned. So if you want to protect yourself, just put extra things and you will actually more enjoy your first class. Another thing you should pack in your bag is a water bottle. You get thirsty, you are sweating, and you want to be hydrated. So take with you a water bottle. That's also a very important part to make sure you are drinking in the part of your lessons when you have time. What you shouldn't have with you is jewelry. So rings, bracelets, and even like earrings like this size wouldn't be helpful. First of all, you can squeeze your skin, you can get stuck with it, you can rip even the silk, so your coach or your school would be absolutely not happy, or you might get stuck in it, and neither of these is a good thing. So no jewelry, good clothes, and you are ready for your first class. I'm doing the professional circus trainer education for aerialists in Montreal on the circus school, and we talked about preconditions. So they talked about like a juggler, he needs to have a very good orientation in space, he needs coordination, like which is a little bit more than maybe the average person. If you want to become a floor acrobat in very high level, you need more muscle fibers which are fast, and the slow muscle fibers because you need this jumping power and the tempo in the air for your muscles. And then we came to aerialists, and that was like really interesting for me. So an aerialist has to be able to take pain. That was the precondition for an aerialist. And this brings us actually to the class, your first class. You will have some bruises, you might feel some pain because most of the new moves are painfully one or another way. You might get a burn, that's often what happens in circus, or in aerials you get burns, you get bruises. It might squeeze when you do wraps on the silk, it might squeeze your body, even though in the first class you will not do the most crazy stuff. So don't worry about that, but your hands are not used to hang, so be prepared for some discomfort. And this, I want to tell you, discomfort is not pain. So there's a difference between discomfort and actual real pain. You shouldn't experience that. If you feel that, talk to your instructor, ask for a other exercise, tell him about your pain, ask him how you can change it. Maybe you can look at positioning, you can change that. So you shouldn't have pain, actual pain. You should maybe have some discomfort, that will be normal. So this is very important also. And then be patient with yourself. Like each small step is actually very big. I mean, you have to think that you're lifting your entire body. You want to defy gravity. So it will take some time. Each small step, like hanging, is a win. And then lifting your knees is another win. And inverting is a very big win. So be patient with yourself. Be happy about each small piece, because you are working with something that you haven't done before. So that's really important, and it will make the journey much more fun. Also, talking about lifting your legs, conditioning in aerial is essential. It's part of the training. So even if you just like the funny moves and the funny tricks, put some conditioning before or after your training, in the beginning and the end, into your lesson. So it's essential. You will not get past it. You will have to condition. Aerial is conditioning, and it's you might as well just enjoy it. Take it as a game, play with it, take some exercises you do every time until you have achieved it, and then take the next one. Just take it as part of your training, because it will make a huge difference on your improvement. Same with mobility. That's another thing. You don't have to think about it maybe the first lesson, but it will help you to do some easy stretches at home to kind of get your body a little bit more mobile. Because anything you can, like, open your legs, for example, more, the lifting gets easier because the pathway is less heavy than if your legs are here. The way gets shorter. So that's something strength, mobility is really something I'd recommend to work on. One more thing you should think about is listening to your coach. So if it's one of your first lessons, really take the progressions he gives you and listen to the instructions, because it's going to be the difference between just trying yourself or having someone guiding you. Also, if you have seen this crazy move and you just want to try it quick, be sure that you know what you're doing. Otherwise, don't just skip it for now, because you might get hurt and it's unnecessary, because you maybe haven't thought about the consequence. What if you don't do it right? So make sure to listen well, make sure to try the things your instructor does, and then you will probably progress the fastest. But I actually got a comment the other day on my YouTube channel of someone who wrote that she was in her first aerial class and she had to do the barrel roll, the stomach roll, and nobody felt actually ready. Nobody had the preconditioned exercises like being able to hold the balance or anything, and they thought it was kind of dangerous. So even if you go to a class, you have a new instructor, you don't know them, they don't know you, make sure that if the teacher gives you something that you feel that's completely out of your range, which shouldn't happen because a good coach will see that, don't do it. Just tell him, I feel a bit unsure. Is there a progression before which I can try to make sure that I'm ready for this? What would you do before that move? Maybe ask for an easier way to do it, a more safe, secure way. And if you feel that you could manage that, you might be ready for the next step. So don't just like blind trust the person in front of you, especially if it's a new relationship, but still keep your own senses with you, because in the end you have to do it, you have to trust yourself. So that's the fine balance between having someone pushing you and believing in you, and you knowing that you can do it yourself as well. So that will be an interesting part. The last thing in your lesson, take videos, monitor your progress. This is so important. Like, I regret that I didn't take videos when I started, because first of all, it's a super nice memory. It shows you also how much you have progressed when you can go back and see, oh, that's what I did then, and now it looks like this. Plus, if you have a lesson, you go home, you're like, how did I actually place my legs and my hands? So it helps a lot to have a video where you can go through it in your mind and kind of study the movements and be like, right, that leg went there, the hand went there. So it's like a practice without having to do it when you have videotaped it. So this is really something I want to give you with you, because often we are like ashamed the first lesson. We think it's not good enough. We don't want to videotape it, but in the long term, you will actually be happy for having done it. Be curious, and you're doing something really special. Not everybody's trying aerial, and it's super fun. And the more you do it, the more you will get hooked, I promise you. So once you're finished with your class, I would recommend some small things as well. The first one is you have this window of like recovery, because training always breaks the muscles down a little bit, and you want to give them fuel so they can rebuild themselves as quick as possible. There is a window between 15 and 30 minutes, which is like actually the best window. So take with you energy bar, take with you something which you can eat, so your muscles are rebuilt. I often actually take chocolate milk. I have one here. So I take a chocolate milk because it's the best, obviously the best mix of carbs and protein. You should have 3/4 of carbs and 1/4 of protein mixed together in this rebuilding drink. And actually the carbs should be kind of fast carbs, because you want to give your muscles quick fuel. This window of the 2 hours closes like to 50%. So if you don't within 2 hours have been eating something and rebuilding your muscles, your muscle recovery will actually decrease 50%. So this is kind of important to know. You don't do yourself a favor if you are like, now I've been training hard and now I wait to eat for a few hours because I will burn more fat. It's a different thing. You might do that, but if you want to build muscles and get stronger for aerial, you should actually give your body some fuel. Another thing, like if you have bruises or burns, what I normally use is arnica. It's a cream or like a gel which you can put on if it's not open, if it's just bruises. I normally buy all my stuff in the horse store because it's quite strong and very pure. For animals, often they put less perfume and less stuff in. So this is something I do for myself, which I think works really well for me. The other thing, what you can do if you have burns and you feel like your clothes are getting stuck and it never heals, use really some burn tapes. You can buy them in the apotheke, put them on, put something over, and it feels so much better, I promise you. I've been there, and like you want to like take care of the little sores and of everything, so you recover quickly and you are able to have more area classes. The grip, like the first classes you won't need your own grip things with you, but normally what I use is magnesium for the hoop, magnesium powder, which you also use for climbing. That one I find is best if you have a hoop which is taped. If you have a hoop which is untaped, you might want to use, like in the pole, dry hands or something which makes your hands dry because it's metal. If it's the cotton thing, you want to have powder or some little bit moist hands. On silks, some of my students just make their hands a little bit wet because you want to have moist hands. So this is opposite to the pole. You want to have moist hands for doing aerial, rope or silk. So you want to use some water. There is also coliformium, this tough grip called. You can use that. It's like a spray. So this is something, I guess your school will have it when you go there the first time, but further along the way you might want to have it yourself. This is actually all the tips and small feedback or ideas I can give you, but I'm really curious to hear about your first experience, your experience of an aerial class. Any feedback or tips which you have, which I haven't given yet, please leave them in the comments below. I'm curious to hear about your experience, how it was and how it felt, and I hope to see you next week for a new tutorial. Bye, and thanks for watching.